Since last May, we've seen attacks on pregnancy resource centers and other pro-life organizations at an unprecedented scale. They are a part of a wave of violence and lawlessness that the left has unleashed on the nation. But now, in addition to the physical attacks, the fire bombings, the vandalism, cyber attacks are the latest threat to these Christian ministries and churches. Now, some congressional leaders recognize this and are calling on the Department of Justice to do something. Joining me now to discuss this is Congressman James Comer. He serves as the ranking member on the House Committee on Oversight and Reform and also serves on the House Committee on Education and Labor. He represents Kentucky's 1st District. Congressman Comer, welcome back to the program.
Thank you for having me on.
Now, you've inquired about this, asking if the Department of Justice is doing something and encouraging them to look into that. What have you found out?
Well, of course, we haven't found anything out, unfortunately. And this is very concerning, not just because this is another attack on conservative free speech, but it's also an instance where we've seen where many fundraising websites for conservative causes have been attacked at a time when there are many states like Kentucky that have pro-life amendments and referendums on the ballot. So this is something that should be a priority for the Department of Justice. And we want to know exactly what they're doing. My fear is they're doing nothing, but we certainly want to put them on notice. We believe that change is coming after the November midterm election. So we're anxious to hear back from the Department of Justice.
In some cases, you had the targeting of the violence. You had Jane's Revenge, which was posting things. They were very visible. And then you actually have this guy calling himself a cyber terrorist who is actually out posting videos saying, I'm responsible for attack. And he goes down a list of different ministries that he has attacked. But the question is, why isn't the Department of Justice doing something about that when someone is actually out there posting this saying, yeah, I'm responsible, do something?
That's a great question. And it's very sad that we even have to ask this question. We should know exactly what the Department of Justice is doing because after this instance, they should have had a press conference. They should have reached out to conservative Christian organizations all over America, conservative Christian leaders like yourself, and said, we want you to know this is exactly what we're doing. We consider this a priority. This should not stand. This is another attack on free speech. This is a threat of potential violence. This is something that could certainly harm conservative groups moving forward. And we take this very seriously, and we're going to go and we're going to do A, B, and C. But once again, we hear crickets pertaining to anything that would relate to any type of conservative Christian organizations from this administration.
Now, Congressman, you serve on the Education Committee. You don't think that the administration that's calling parents who show up to school board meetings domestic terrorists, or at least agreeing with that sentiment, that they're actually going to step forward and protect the free speech of Christians in this country?
I don't think they're going to do anything for the next 45 days and probably 30 days after that. But in January, I think anyone in the Biden administration realizes that there's going to be a Republican majority in the House, and that at that point, committees like mine have subpoena authority. We've reached out to the Department of Justice on a host of issues. Jim Jordan, who will hopefully be chairman of the Judiciary Committee, he's also on the Oversight Committee. We do a lot of stuff together from Oversight and Judiciary, requesting information from Merrick Garland and this Department of Justice on a whole host of issues, many of which involve direct attacks against conservative speech and conservative organizations. And to date, this administration has provided absolutely zero answers to our question. So it's not like we're asking a complicated question. We're asking, are you doing your job? And thus far, the answer is a big no.
I go back to the Obama administration where we had something very similar with the Attorney General not really wanting to do much as it pertained to conservatives. But as I see it, if the Republicans are aggressive enough in pursuing these hearings, it's going to tie up the Biden administration in knots because they're going to have to contend with the Republicans in the House. And I would imagine that anytime they want to get something done, that you guys are going to say, hey, we need answers. And I would hope that the Republicans are not going to roll over, with some of these must pass or these spending bills, that all of this will be looked at in its totality.
I hope so too. I hope it, Bray, you're right. There are many of us in the conference that have spoken up and made sure that leadership's well aware that we don't just want to talk about the problem. We want to actually try to solve the problems. We want to hold this administration accountable, and we expect people that have done wrong to be held accountable. And I think the American people are expecting that. That's why hopefully in 40 days they're going to, vote for a complete party change in majority in the House of Representatives. So this is something that I think every conservative's gotten the message loud and clear in Washington, that the American people expect us to do what we say we're going to do. And that's always been a problem in the past. So hopefully the leadership this time around has gotten the message. We're going to have pretty much new leadership all the way around in the House of Representatives from what we had 6 years ago when Paul Ryan was Speaker. You have all new committee chairs. You're going to have certainly a new leadership team. And I can say this in conference meetings that are behind closed doors, the leadership team has gotten the message from the members of Congress who we've gotten the message from the American people. They expect to see some results in a Republican majority.
I know that to be true as well from my conversations, and I know that you have fought consistently to uphold the law and to defend the people of this country, and so grateful for that. And Congressman Comer, thanks for coming on today as well.
Thank you for having me on.